Okay, because I know I'm late, but let me get Potomac on out the way before next week and we get into the reunion. So, Potomac, Real Housewives, season 10, episode 17. Karen comes home. Okay, so pretty much the first 6 minutes is Karen actually coming home. Okay, we saw a little bit of last season, or not last season, but last episode, where she actually came out the building, got into the car, drove home. She waved to the press and the fans that were out there waiting, because that's kind of what we seen when we seen the first release. We never actually saw her face, but we saw the whole uh, hoopla about it, or press, should we say? Um, so in this midst, before that, they dropped the whole timeline, okay? So we can remember how this all started, right? She caught that DUI on March 19th of 24. We all saw the tapes, George Jefferson concubine, all that good stuff, right? She was sentenced February 26th of 2025. It was supposed to be 2 years, but they got her for like 1 year served. She only served about 6 months because she was released September 2nd of 2025, which today is February 2026. She's only been free for 5 months, guys. 5 months. Um, it was a little bit funny. She accidentally rolled up on one fan. He was kind of just standing there lonely, but she was like, "Was that rude?" She wasn't trying to be rude, right? Happy to see the family. Ray is there, her daughter is there, and her sister was there. Glad to see her. She was in some black high heels, some wide leg jeans, a white blazer with a purple button up underneath. She had on a blue colorful scarf on top of some jailhouse braids. And I see, this is funny because I thought, remember, she went to jail, she had a wig on. I thought she took that wig and braided into some dookie braids. Come to find out, the young girls that was up in there took their hair out and gave it to Karen and braided it for her. So she got some jailhouse braids to keep herself together. And they're just happy to be out. She's about to go take a shower, get that gel off, and start anew. She had a lot of experiences in there, mentoring to a lot of the young girls. I thought that was cute that she was saying that she told them, look, y'all in here young, I'm sure it was about the 26-year-olds, 30s and all that stuff. Yeah, it took her 60 years to go there. So while y'all here messing up now and y'all young selves, y'all better pull it together. But listen, we don't want to go to jail. I know 62. Okay. No. 1 week later, knock, knock, knock at the door. Who is it? It's Andy, and we know what he here for. It's time for the interview. All right, so Andy is greeted with Ray. Karen comes down. They have, the greetings. Hey, how you doing? Miss you, love you. Did you get my note? So he actually did reach out to her, and he said he sprayed it with La Dame perfume. So that's cute. Look, she probably didn't even maybe the smell wear off before she got it. I don't know. Actually did buy the perfume for my mom, but I never really smelled it myself, so I don't know. But anyway, we seen Raven on her first scene home, but this time we got to see her son. What's the name? Oof, I forgot his name. And her cousin. I think her cousin name was David. But why I always forget her son name? Because he don't ever be on a show like that. Which Andy does ask him, like, why he be hiding from the cameras. And he like, I'll just be busy or whatever. It's so cool. And he starts off with the questions pretty much like how long he was in there. She said it was 6 months or so. Which we all know 6 months, but we don't know the exact number of days. Like, was she counting? She should have been counting. But anywho, and how was she doing? What was she doing in there? She says that, or what was the first thing she did when she got home? And she was like, obviously greeting the family, wanted to hug Ray and all that stuff. And we always know she went and took the shower and all that stuff. But she explained while she was in there how a lot of the people were her kids' age. Raven is still in her 20s. I don't know how old her son is. I'm guessing he got to be 30s now, right? Because he was born way before, she met Ray. So, yeah. and how at first, I guess the officers wanted her to be more isolated a little bit versus being in Gen Pop. And I think she did tell them that she preferred to be in Gen Pop because if she did the crime, she's gonna do the time. She here, she might as well do it all or do it the right way. And they let her go. And that's how she got to meet all the other girls and get acquainted. And that's when she realized, oh, well, I might actually have a little calling here to where I can sit and mentor, and talk to some of these ladies to help improve their lives, like just won't sit in here and let my time go to waste, turn it into a positive, right? And we also actually learned that she's kind of taking a little bit of a phone break because while you in jail, you don't get to use the phone anyway. Well, at least your telephone, right? And then if you can get a tablet, you can do a little internet stuff, but it's not like the real, like your real phone. But she kind of taking it easy, should we say? Because I'm sure it's blown up and notifications going off every second about everybody wanting to tell her what's going on and how they doing and asking her what she doing. So I think that's kind of a good thing. I don't think she should rush straight into all the social media and everything and what everybody talking about her and saying and all that stuff because yeah, it might make her be like depressed and all that stuff. We don't want that. We gotta uplift this lady, okay? She still got some life to live, made her mistakes. So let's start the interview. Finally get to sit down. She got a little spot off in the corner all set up and cute. And here go Andy with the questions. And the first question is, how does it feel to be free? Okay. And, obviously she's like, feels good, but the past year and a half, because this is 2025, it happened in 2024. So it's been almost 2 years, right? Full circle since this happened. Been going through hell, basically. And it all stems from the video release because it's one thing to be arrested because usually what they do is they always just put your mug shot out there with a little article to say, oh, breaking news, somebody was arrested and this is what they did, like with Wendy and stuff. But this one, they released the police cam footage and they don't do that with everybody. So that is what kind of set this little turmoil that she had going up in her head. But yeah, so they replay some of the main clips of the footage because we all seen it. It was it was really long, but they keep replay some of the main stuff of her literally just out of it, right? She says that she ain't never watched it, which is interesting, right? She said Ray never watched it. She didn't want him to watch it, which is, he was there, right? So he kind of already know. But I think she should watch it just so she kind of knows what's going on. But it's embarrassing. It was very embarrassing. And the lawyers was trying to tell you gotta take this plea deal, if you ever been to courts, they offer you things and you choose if you want to take the offer or not. Okay, that's kind of how it goes. And they were telling her that because they released the footage, that was going to be the nail in the coffin. Like, it's one thing, like I said, if they would just do the mug shout out there like they normally do with the little article, but this time they actually released everything. So I'm like, dang, it's like who did it and why, almost, right? Because that's crazy just to get her locked up like this on purpose. But either way, she's gonna go to jail regardless, I guess, if the footage was out or not. Okay, because when you go to court, there's a thing called discovery, and that's where they do all that stuff. Okay, but anywho, that's going into stuff that don't belong here. Yeah, so Andy was actually kind of shocked, like, dang, I didn't even know all this. And she's like, well, during the time, I was actually still under the influences of, some prescriptions and the alcohol. So, mixing those things, she was a little bit cloudy. So it's not like she didn't know what she was doing, but she did know what she was doing, but she definitely knew she didn't want to watch the video. And Andy was like, well, dang, I heard that they offered you, what was it, 2 years of house arrest or something like that, or some amount of time of house arrest instead of the actual 2 years arrest jail time. And she's like, nope, that was a rumor. And he's like, oh, for real? Which I thought started that rumor. Was it Giselle? It probably was Giselle. So as she's explaining the whole ordeal with the court thing and the plea deal, how she eventually watched the tape when she went to rehab, and we know she went to rehab what 2 months before the her court date or something like that, because she was trying to, you know what you got, like trying to make it look good and all this stuff for herself, that she was getting treatment and all these things so that she can get a better sentence. So which, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wait, Andy, because okay. I'm about to figure out that timeline, because he was yeah, okay. Well, either way, she watched the tape with the therapist, because I could have swore she went to rehab before she got sentenced, but because remember on the show. But anywho, she was very embarrassed. Like I said, that was very embarrassing. How you feel about that Thomas Jefferson concubine stuff you were saying? And she like, I mean, obviously it was nuts. Like, who was that woman? That wasn't me. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I don't know what I was saying. Like, what the heck? She knows she needed to change, obviously, and that's when he asked her about what's your relationship with alcohol now. She says she don't drink. She's completely sober now. That just pretty much was like, heck, see, nah, I can't be that no more. Like, that was too much. She don't want to go through nothing like that no more. Her daughter and her son eventually watched it, so we all seen it. The family's seen it. So pretty much she's had to go through it, talked about it. She understands now, like, why she was sentenced, how she was. Yeah. Okay, so to mention that Ray pretty much told her that she might have had a problem 20 years ago. And that's when she had her first DUI. Because remember, this was number 4. Okay. So she says she went through whatever it was she went through, overcame it. So that's, I guess, why she kept drinking over throughout the years. Maybe he asked her what was the prescription medication for, because she keeps mentioning she's drinking, but it's the pills. And it's like, okay, well, what was the prescription for is what I was thinking in my head. And I think she didn't understand that question. I think she was thinking that he asked her what was the actual prescription drug that she was on. And she's like, no, I can't say that. I can't tell you that because, my lawyers is good. I don't want to get sued, this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I think she misunderstood. Like, did you get hurt for you to get prescribed the medication? That's what he should have explained. Like, I don't need to know that you was on Xanax. Like, I mean, we could guess the number of antidepressants. Like, it was, especially 20 years ago when you started, I think it was only one. So come on now. But either way, she was prescribed something because of something, okay? And I guess she thought she was managing said something, but over time is where it was taking more than she was supposed to be prescribed. That mixed with the alcohol is where she's getting all the messed upness coming from, right? And so he's trying to ask her, like, okay, well, specifically to that night, that what was the alcohol calling you? Like, I mean, like, was it the alcohol? Was it the pills? Like, what like, I think that's what it is. Because how Karen like to do, she like to talk in circles sometimes, right? So that's why I be telling Andy need to reel her in a little bit and be more specific with his words. Because Karen would do the dance, and I don't want to do the dance with this, okay? We need you to be straightforward with, and factual, like, be real. And she goes on to describe that basically something happened that night to where she was like running away from home, like, and we already knew, like, let's be real. We kind of knew that her and Ray was going through some things, but we never knew what. Okay. Okay. So she goes on to explain that um, oh shoot, how I just forget that fast. Looking at tweets. But nah, her drinking and driving was supposedly not her, right? And he's like, oh, well, you did it 4 times. And she like, nah, I only did it. Okay, so she's like, she got a DUI twice, but altogether, all four were involving alcohol, I guess. I don't know. She didn't say exactly what it was, but either way, fine. Oh, that's what it was. Running away from home. Like, why she do that? What was going on? And like I said, it was because right, her and Ray was going through some things, which we already kind of knew it was something. We just didn't know what it was. She still didn't say exactly what it was, but she just wanted to get away from home that night, and she just had to happen to make the bad decision to drink and drive. Okay, she just was unhappy, and she was trying to go get happy, and she got a little bit too happy. Okay. But, glad she didn't hit nobody like a person. She just hit a tree. So, it could have been worse. She was actually shocked by the sentence that she got because remember it was originally was she facing 5 years and they sentenced her to 2? It was something like that. So that's why she was shocked because she thought she was at least gonna get like 3, but luckily they was kind to her. So you asked about her, getting out early because remember it was supposed to be a whole year, but she served only 6 months. And she said pretty much when she got in there, she just went to work, started volunteering. She was the head of the AA and NA classes, and Andy like, well, how was you? how how you supposed to be helping others and you supposed to be in there working on yourself like, and she's like, oh yeah, well remember I had already went to the rehab before I got sentenced. That's what I said. Yeah, I'm like, I could have swore she did that first. So she be talking a little bit in circles a little bit, but as long as you remember, then you know how to follow. Also while she was in there, her and Ray was getting back on track, with him visiting and calling and whatever they was doing. I think he was visiting her. Yeah, like it helped open up the communication and dive deep into what's going on between them and also herself and to face her demons as well. And of course, Andy asked, well, what was, demonizing you? What was traumatizing you? And she like, well, she discovered in therapy that she was emotionally stunted pretty much at like 19. Hmm. Yeah, so with all the therapy, you got to dig deep to find the trigger traumas to fix that pretty much to help you get through, because that's pretty much that little root that, a lot of people have that just you can't get over that hump, but once you do, then you can move on. So that's what happened to her at 19 when she was well, we can't say the word on YouTube, but essayed, and that's where the emotionally shutting down just kind of went from there. But through therapy, she's working through it. She knows it's part of being sober in her sobriety journey. And she has something she has to overcome, and she is doing that. She's working on it. Okay, because see, remember how she keeps talking about this prescription drugs, this drugs and alcohol, drugs and alcohol. And technically, we're mainly supposed to be talking about alcohol, but she keep throwing these drugs in there. So that's where it's kind of getting confusing because it's like, well, which one is it? Okay. But I'm thinking she's admitting to doing both, okay, as being a drug addict and having the alcohol be the catalyst. Okay, it's because the prescriptions was one thing, but the alcohol was her said choice. Okay, and this was her working it out with her therapist for her therapist to tell her that, oh well, yeah, you actually probably do have a problem with alcohol, Miss Lady, and because she was in a state of denial, should we say, right? um but like I said, it's a dual action thing It's because it's not only the alcohol, it is the prescription drugs. Because those said antidepressants were prescribed by said doctor, but it was her who was abusing said things. But adding the alcohol to it is what was making this worse for her. Okay. So that's where her realization, I think, is whirling in her brain to realize this is how it's working out. Andy's trying to ask her, is she alcoholic or not? She's just trying to say, like, I mean, she didn't say yes or no. She just said she's just living in sobriety. Okay. A person living in sobriety. She's going to the AA meetings. She found a nice little lady group, some friends and things like that. She hasn't had a drink since, I guess, after the accident. No specifics there. But I mean, one can wonder because we know on the show she didn't drink on camera. We do know that, so we're not sure what she did out, off the camera, or was she still doing said prescription drugs while on camera? That could be also true. Yeah. See, isn't it still her talking in circles a little bit because, like I said, it's not necessarily the alcohol here; it's the narcotic. It's the narcotic, okay? Because he asked her, "You promised the judge that you was gonna do sobriety AA meetings for the rest of your life, right?" She like, "No, I did not promise that, but I promised myself. AA is a good thing. Go to it. Da, da, da. I think we do know, like, example, Brad Pitt. He goes to AA like every day because he needs help, right? But she just that's gonna be her choice. Hopefully she abides to that. Okay, we'll see how it goes. If she blogs about it or anything like that, or comes on the show, I guess we'll get that question in just a moment. Um, Interesting, right? But she not going to AA meetings per se. She's going to NA meetings, okay? And AA is Alcoholic Anonymous, for those who don't know. NA is Narcotics Anonymous, for those who don't know. Two different, two different classes, okay? I never been to neither one, but I do know just by straight to the titles alone, two different classes here. So that's the thing. Is like, which one is actually the problem? I mean, it could be both, right? But it's mainly the prescription drugs, okay? Like, I think that's the main thing. It was the alcohol that it is exposing this about Karen, okay? The release date, Andy asked her where she got her outfit from, and she says her stylist actually brought it to her. But while she was actually in there, the uniform they had on was beige. What did she miss the most while she was away in prison? Pretty much her daughter, her daughter Raven, her touch, her hug. She knew that she was gonna be gone for a while, and they ended up taking some little cute little photo of them holding hands, so that was kind of cute. But yeah, mainly her daughter Raven. I mean, her time in prison, and some of her experiences, describing her cell. I think, well, we all know what it looked like, right? The little toilet, sinks, all that stuff. She made do with what she had to make do with. How to feel, strip it down to the bare, like just being her, no makeup, no wigs, none of her stuff. Um, you know, she actually liked it, appreciated it. She got a little grays going on in there, and she said when the time comes, then she'll start wearing the white wigs. But in the meantime, she'll still be blonde. And right, being from Surrey County, old country gal, she know how to survive and make do with what you got, right? What she say? I don't even know how the CEOs even thought to look at her to be like, oh, you even having a period, girl. But either way, they gave her the pad so that she can line the toilet so that she can sit on it. But she is way past. Some of her more experiences: waking up at 4:30 to have breakfast at 5, having class at 9, lunch and afternoon, doing workout whenever she could, or have rec time. Was not outside for a whole 6 months, which is interesting. I don't know if it was it summer or winter. No, it was the summertime. Um, I don't know. Maybe there's like a she didn't have permission yet or something. I don't know, but or maybe it wasn't that type of place. I don't know how it works, but either way, she enjoyed her little time there. A little discipline here. The food, she describes it as astronaut food. Um, I right say I don't know, but astronaut food. I at least would have said school lunch because that's what it looked like on the TV, school lunch. But yeah, she made do it with the time she had and did what she had to do. Oh yeah, so what was it? Dinner was at what 4:30 or something, and night was at 9 o'clock. So he brings up. We move on to the reunion of Potomac last year. Okay, because we're about to have the reunion of this Potomac starting next week, and Karen is supposed to be there. Okay, so it's like, how you gonna feel walking into the lion's den, so to speak, right? But before we get into all that, how about Karen watch some of the things that the ladies had to say about her at that reunion? Because we don't want to say it was a pile on, but we did have the Karen segment, and she did have her little Zoom meeting thing going on. But she claimed she didn't watch all of none of it, which I mean maybe she didn't. But reactions from some of the ladies' comments. So Andy plays her the whole little segment of him asking ladies how they feel about her going away and all this stuff. And her alcoholism. Do they think she was alcoholic? Woo, woo, woo. Ashley had a lot to say. Wendy was kind of basically piggybacking off of her. Stacy was having her back, I believe, and Kiana had her back as well. Giselle was kind of, I guess, just agreeing with Wendy and Ashley. Okay, it was the rumors of her. Did she have a boyfriend in the car and he jumped out and ran away? She was supposed to be with her girls, but why didn't they come out being, forward? Somebody came up to Ashley talking about, oh yeah, I know Karen. She come here every day, every day get drunk. Blah, blah, blah. And Wendy was like, oh yeah, I heard the same thing. Some dude say, yeah, she come here all the time, get wasted. Da, da, da. And Wendy's reaction is like, okay, more or less, said things may have happened 20 years ago. Okay. Ashley was definitely telling the truth because she goes to that restaurant and Ray had to pick her up many a times riding through there. And when it came to Wendy, obviously, they don't see eye to eye like this. And she's like, yeah, who even talking to Wendy? She live in Timbuktu. And if we remember, we're looking at the map. Don't nobody live in Potomac but Angel. So he plays her the clip of her thanking said people through her journey, what she's going through, and how Wendy was upset. So how does she feel about that? And she like, Wendy know why I didn't thank her. Because, right, she did she think Giselle too? I can't remember if she thanked Giselle or not. But either way, Candace, Kay, and Andy was mentioned. And no Wendy. And Wendy at that time thought that they were friends. And once she heard all this stuff was coming out at that reunion, if y'all can remember, that's when her mind changed. It was like, well, I thought she was my friend, but she is not my friend no more. And that's when Karen is basically saying like, okay, well, Karen, like Wendy know why we ain't cool. She don't say why, but she does say that they do need to have a conversation. They should have a conversation, and either it should put everything to bed and they can move on, or whatever, I'm saying how it goes. But a conversation is definitely needed to see exactly where they stand at today. Does she feel that she had any support from the ladies? And she does say that Giselle did a great job at reaching out. She did not have nobody visit her, nothing like that, except for only friends or family and a couple of friends, because we do remember Cookie was Giselle's messenger besides Ray. And Kay and everybody else was reaching out, but Wendy did not. And that's why she said we just gonna have to talk about that. So Andy does mention about the fans, the viewers watching the show. A lot of people think she should not be coming back on for next season. Like, is it a good idea or is it not? She thinks, does she deserve to come back? I guess if you can earn it, then sure. And, she goes on to pretty much thank Andy and Bravo, because they have actually been pretty good to her. If we think about the Potomac franchise, Karen is, I think, the most popular out of all the ladies. So with that popularity, definitely comes the perks, okay? Because the network will let you do more things than some of the other ladies, or more things than you thought you would be doing, okay? And I think with this incident of her, I think they handled it pretty well, and I think she thinks they handled it pretty well. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no smear campaign against her or nothing. We all, pretty much rolled it out with her. So I think, and in the way that they addressed it at the reunion, the way they popped it up for us and kept it going, I think it was pretty good, because that's just all we wanted to know. We just wanted to stay in the loop. But whether she should come back or not, like, for me personally, like, I don't even care. Say, if she come back, cool. If she don't, cool. Like, it's, for me. But if she do come back, I do not want them to keep calling her alcoholic, calling her a pill popper, calling her a druggie. I do not want them to keep bringing it up. Like, if they could go on with the show and, like, okay, we mention it first when you get here. How you doing? How you been? What's going on? How you feel? After that, move on to the next thing. Like, I'm out. I'm working. I'm doing whatever's going on. But if she can do that, then kudos. But if she come back and Ashley and Giselle get on that bull, especially Ashley, we know Wendy ain't gonna be there. Whew. And especially now, oh my God, see, oh my God. I just want them to have a sit down right now, Wendy and Karen. Is they going to do this at the reunion? No, I can't wait till next week, because that's going to be the question of the day. Well, Miss Wendy, you had a lot to say about me going away. Well, how do you feel that you about to go away too? Who? He asked her, does he think the show had anything to do with her, going away? And she says no. She think actually the show kind of helped her a little bit, because she actually had something to do with her time, a little routine. It kept her more stable, because I think she said, like, without it, then maybe she would have spiraled maybe a long time ago, because the show been on about almost 10 years now, right? Yeah, so especially things maybe with her and Ray, probably the outcome definitely would have been a lot different. Like, let's be like, if we can rewind back the time, yeah, things would definitely turned out different. So for her, she ain't blaming the show. The show was fine. So how is she gonna feel about all the, petty drama that be on the show, like, versus now, like, hindsight is 2020 now. Like, how is she gonna deal with that? And she just saying, like, she's grown now, right? Well, she always been grown, but I think being through her experience now, she knows how to approach things a little bit differently. I think personally, I don't know, like, that petty stuff, like, if she come back on the show and they get to talking, like, oh God, oh, well, I saw you at dinner with your limo driver, then you know what I'm saying? Like, she's gonna be like, for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? She's not gonna jump to it and be like, oh, girl, you tripping, da, da, da. I think she'll just be like, okay, Ashley, just go away because obviously it's not true and we can move on to the next thing. Because it's going to be a lot of dumb stuff. So how is she going to handle it? I'm not sure. But I don't know. She thinks she'll be all right. Oh, yeah, because also dealing with Ray. With their relationship, the way it's going now is that they're working on it. Okay. Because she mentions that Ray says in this journey, because, being away for, what was it, 6 months or so, she's come back home. She's a new lady. She's different now, right? So for him, it's kind of like, okay, well, now I got a different wife here, right? Something different to work with. And if that means that, I got to let you go so you can go figure out whatever it is you need on this journey, then he can do that. And for her, she's like, okay, well, it's not necessarily that we just gonna go straight to that. It's a work in progress, okay? Like, they're gonna be just fine. At least for, I think they'll be fine. Andy asked her, like, what's the thing that she's so-called running away from, okay? She's just saying that it's, I guess, the past trauma, and I guess the buildup of some other things along the way, because that was 19. So what, from 19 to 60, she'd been through through a lot. And the way her family handled the situation, probably wasn't the best, but going through the process of what she's going through, obviously this is where she's figuring out that with the alcohol and the drugs and all that stuff, right? Working through all that, she'll be fine in the end, basically. Like, that's now that she knows where it all stems from. Okay, so that's now she knows how to fix it and where to go from here. So we ended on Andy pretty much giving her little props on her journey and how she's come through and continuing on her journey. And how she's overcoming this denial that she's been in for so long, okay? Because delusion, okay? We always be shouting at the TV, at least I do. Delusional, 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 because they be playing like we don't be seeing it and we don't be hearing them, and that, like, girl, and don't you hear yourself? Don't it sound crazy? But they don't, don't be clicking like that. But anywho, she figured it out that, yeah, she's not in denial no more. And, she's grown up and she's good. Proud of where she's at and proud of where she's going. So this is where Andy ends it. And we know where we're going to get to next, which is the reunion. Because like I said, she's going to be there. And she's going to have to address a few things with some of the ladies. And some of the ladies going to have to address a few things with her. So we will get there. Oh, I didn't think it was going to be this long, but maybe I did, because it is a Karen interview. The actual reunion, probably not, because we're going to skip over a whole bunch of that Stacey stuff and Angel stuff, I'm sure. Because I'm over it. Especially if Giselle excuses, like if she don't, we just got to get there. I don't want to talk about that right now. All right. So this was, I guess, the official finale of Potomac, the Karen interview. She's out. She will be at the reunion, and we will see what she's going to have to say when we get there. Peace out. Thanks for watching.